Dave's album, The Boy Who Played the Harp, is out now. Firstly, do we think it's going to sell more than 100k first week? Is this his best album from his discography? And does it solidify him as being the number one UK rapper we have currently? Leave your comments in the description and let me know what your thoughts on it. Some things are quite interesting with this album is on the inside in the industry, a lot of conversations being had about can Dave smash the 100k mark. Tiny Temper has the record for first week sales from a UK rapper. He done 85,000 copies for his album. Discography, albeit without the machine of Spotify. This was the old school authentic way of selling songs on CDs, and that's the record. So do we also think that Dave has to surpass that? And I think more importantly, I think a lot of people who like to do the number talk and, charts and streams and all those things and such, if Dave doesn't sell more than Cinch, well, how do you view it? Do you think it means that the power base has shifted as who's the number one? I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments, leave them below. To the album, what's actually quite interesting is one, there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of layers to the album, even the fact that it's called The Boy Who Played the Harp and his name's David. And if you know about the Bible, you'll know the correlation to all the above. Ironically, I don't know if this has been spoken about a lot, but there's been no music videos released as of yet. No music videos. Literally just a promo trailer of Dave just in a car. I think it's Gabriel Moses who shot the video. Even the photo, even the announcement of the features, it was done almost as art. It was done like a photo shoot. The way it was announced, the way you saw them all together, they didn't look like a band, but they looked like a collective. Right, all the people have put down their artistry into it, and you have someone like James Blake, who also was on Dave's last album, who's a phenomenal artist. I've been speaking to quite a few of my friends, some rappers, and a lot of them had no clue who James Blake is because he just doesn't exist to them in their world and their musical preferences. And I was saying to them, no, listen, that's actually a really big artist, amazingly talented. So let's go to the features. You have also Jim Legacy, who Dave done a song with not too long ago for his project. Kano, again, revered, legend, absolute wordsmith. Tems, Nigerian artist who's actually mainstream now. And then you have James Blake again. And then you have the another lady, I forgot her name, because I can't see it on Apple Music, her name. The female rapper on a song, I think it's called Fairchild, I believe, if I've got it wrong. So these are the features on the album. And some people said to me, bro, why ain't he got Cinch on the album? Yeah, like if he wants to do numbers and if he wants to chart and he wants to do, you know what I mean? He should got Cinch on the album. To me, I just think Dave creatively just made music that he wants. It's to me, it's obvious that Dave could have in essence worked with anyone within the culture. Everyone would have been willing to work with him and loan him a verse or assist in a project. But I think this is although it's 10 tracks, and I won't use the word selfish, but I think the messaging point is very introspective, and him speaking 4.5-year journey has been very therapeutic. He's covered so many issues, and I think he's connected with artists who he feel are able to add to the messaging point that he's at. The album itself, 10 tracks. I really love the tune with him and Kano. You've got to listen to it. The production, amazing. Actually, let's start with the production. The production throughout is not overpowering. There's no heavy hitting club bangers. It's all easy listening music, and it allows the message to be illustrated and projected. It's soothing, right? So I think the production somewhat homogenous, but when you listen to it, the piano keys are very much super prevalent in all of the songs that I can remember that I liked on the project. When I went to the first track, History, I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't blown away at that point. I was like, okay, this is all right. As the project evolved, and then I started realizing the communication of what layers Dave was willing to go to in his artistry. I was so impressed. He was touching on points that many of us have seen, maybe talk about in private, maybe we, think, and he brought it on his album. And, speaking about the culture of sexual assault, rape, the things that women have to go through. And again, Dave has put someone on his album who's a black female rapper who many people aren't aware of. He done it on his last album with Shah Simone. He has, I would say, made sure that this is something that he wants to do in his album. Every album, he's going to find a female rapper who's black, who many people may not know about, and put her on his album. And I think that's platforming at the highest order and profiling. That song, you know, really speaks to a lot of what's going on today and a lot of things that people face and experiences that women have had to deal with. And it wasn't done in a typical, you've heard other rappers rap from the reference point of, a woman telling her story of like, being in an abusive relationship. This was actually Dave deconstructing how this comes about, not just, it was so layered and it was effective. And you understood exactly what's being said. So I think it was a great song. And then, when you go to the track with him and Kano, what a record. When you're actually listening to it, chapter 16, you're really sitting there thinking, how do they record that? It literally sounds like a skit of a film, or, the way that they're talking, they actually are conversing, and it's creative, simplistic, but creative. But then also you got to remember that Kano has been doing this type of back-to-back conversation, like him, Gets, Wretch. They've done these things before. And hearing Dave on this type of record, amazing. Like the production, love it. And if you're a fan of Kano like I am, love the record. Selfish, love James Blake's vocals on it. Like really, 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 really beautiful. My 27th birthday, a great song. And holistically, I really like the album, me personally. I will be replaying it. I understand in the culture that we're in, everyone's looking at streams, how many sales. And I believe this is Dave actually just giving his own honest art and being selfish enough to not look to have to make a banger. He's not making a record where, I don't think in any part of this album, I mean, there's no stunting on it. There's no like talking about what he's got or do you know what I mean? There's no projecting his wealth or projecting these things. It's just vulnerability that he's given and perspective. And he's covered topics from mental health, racism, sexual abuse, sexual assault, rape culture, the war in Israel and Palestine, and his own mental well-being and the things he's done wrong, his family setup. There's many layers to this. And when you're a creative and you want to inform people what you've been going through, as opposed to saying, I just want to make a banger, I just want to make I think with Dave, of course, he naturally would want numbers on the board, but he's actually wants this to be received, this to be understood, this to be digested, and people to be able to get to know him through music, because Dave doesn't do interviews. Come on. How many interviews is Dave I can't remember a time when Dave's done any interviews outside of something with Zane Lowe and something he did with Apple Music years ago, for the launch of one of their campaigns. Very rarely Dave hasn't sat within cultural spaces and, to my recollection, and done an interview, and spoken to us. So I think the music's done the talking. The production's amazing for me. I know it's not for everyone. I know from conversations I've had, there's people that are disappointed. They feel like, it's boring, it's this, it's that. But Dave has never been the person who didn't. Like, he's always made music like this. And I think it's just the expectations, what people expect someone who's in that position to do. Like, he should be making this type of record. He's expressed himself as a human being within music. And this sits well within his discography, right? After this album, maybe the next album may be a bit more, up-tempo, maybe more stunting lyrics, who knows? Maybe something more for you lot to boogie to, but the power of Dave is unquestionable and sells regardless of whether it does more or less than the last album, whether it does more or less than Cinch. I want to know what you lot think of the album. Is it an album that you think, is it his best album that he's put out? If he doesn't sell more than Cinch, what do you think? Do you actually like the album? If so, what songs? But look, this is the first time I'm giving my POV on my YouTube channel. I may do more of these, but I wanted to start with Dave's album, The Boy Who Played the Harp. And for me, I give it a solid 8.5. Just for me, because the kind of music I listen to and the things he speaks are very introspective. Also, I will say, and it's something that many people I don't feel take, and maybe maybe I have a bit of a bias to this, but you know, the storytelling of Dave reminds me of Cadet, or the vulnerability within storytelling. With Cadet, he will speak firsthand in his own shoes, and it was quite not limited to just him, but it focused on his experience. With Dave, he's able to speak and expand a bit further, you know. And I think having vulnerable lyrics, music, and messaging points put out by black men who rap in this stoic, like not chauvinistic, but like just this very much ego-driven culture that we are somewhat all a part of in this patriarchal society. It's great, it's good, and I'm happy that an artist is being this considered in his music, where he's willing to forego making the obvious songs, in my opinion, that's just for like chart positions and this and that. And I think we should applaud it and just take in what the artist wants to give us in this cycle and not project what we think it should do stream wise, number wise. Is it a flop? Just, do you like the music? Do you respect what the man's saying? Because he's speaking on things that will be here, for years to come. But look, those are my takes, man. Let me know what you think of the album and all the above. Peace.